the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy. We're talking about the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy.
What is this?
Today we're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The chief minister ain't this. The chief minister that. I didn't form nothing. Nothing. All I did was continue what was trying to be discontinued. 1995, Supreme Grand Council that is, stood up and say the prophet grand body is no more. And I said, no, Joe, that won't go. No, Joe, that won't go. That won't go here. I said I would continue on. They said, well, brother, right here, we're going to make you the supreme member of the Supreme Grand Council. I say, all is well with that idea. But guess what? The grand body still is. The grand body still is the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. We're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy.
What is this?
Today we're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The chief minister ain't this. The chief minister that. I didn't form nothing. Nothing. All I did was continue what was trying to be discontinued. 1995, Supreme Grand Council that is, stood up and say the prophet grand body is no more. And I said, no, Joe, that won't go. No, Joe, that won't go. That won't go here. I said I would continue on. They said, well, brother, right here, we're going to make you a supreme member of the Supreme Grand Council. I said, all is well with that idea. Well, guess what? The grand body still, but the grand body still is the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. We're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy.
What is this that surrounds me? Allah's loving arms. What is this upholds me? Allah's hand.
Rise on, greatest of honor to you, brother. Know what you want to be. Let me know if Allah be back. There's a lot of other music.
The controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy. We're talking about the controversy, the controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy.
What is this?
Today we're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The chief minister ain't this. The chief minister that. I didn't form nothing. Nothing. All I did was continue what was trying to be discontinued. 1995, Supreme Grand Council, that is, stood up and say the prophet grand body is no more. And I said, no, Joe, that won't go. No, Joe, that won't go. That won't go here. I said I would continue on. They said, well, brother, right here, we're going to make you a supreme member of the Supreme Grand Council. I say, all is well with that idea. But guess what? The grand body still. The grand body still is the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. We're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy.
What is this?
Today we're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The chief minister ain't this. The chief minister that. I didn't form nothing. Nothing. All I did was continue what was trying to be discontinued. 1995, Supreme Grand Council, that is, stood up and say the prophet grand body is no more. And I said, no, Joe, that won't go. No, Joe, that won't go. That won't go here. And I said I would continue on. They said, well, brother, right here, we're going to make you a supreme member of the Supreme Grand Council. I said, all is well with that idea. Well, guess what? The grand body still. But the grand body still. The controversy. 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 We're talking about the controversy. The controversy. The controversy. The controversy. The controversy. The controversy. The controversy.
What is this round? What is this that surrounds me? Allah's loving arms. What is this upholds me? Allah's hand.
tackle one devil at a time. And the devil we're going to attack tonight is named Tahaka Trump Jr. Because he got a lot of false news out there. You know, he put somebody else's panties on his head and run around like that's a fez. I want y'all to get an understanding of this. A time where man was man and woman wanted a man. A time we did walk-ups. A time where we left you where we found you. Yeah, this every time we got people that's trying to loud talking, steal the glory of other people. So today, somebody sent me this thing about Tahaka having a point of view on me. Here it is here. Start from the beginning.
Okay.
I want y'all to listen to what he got to say. I'm gonna have it cut, and then I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna cut and have it talk.
Many people have been coming on the post and talk about, why Moore's beefing, why Moore's beefing. Listen, don't come on my post with that. If I see people coming on my post talking about beefing when we're just having a conversation, and maybe it's a conversation that make you uncomfortable, I'm literally going to block you off my post. My page is a learning page, but it's not a page that you learn from in the way that you're used to. In other words, we may not be buddy, chum, friend in the sense of what we have come to believe what friendship and brotherhood is. Not on my page. On all of my social medias, I'm going to tell the raw truth as I see it, with support of evidence, documentation, as people would call receipts. Now, if you are sugared up point where you cannot take me calling out the truth in the fraud, I mean, me speaking to the truth and calling out the fraud in real time, then my social media is not for you. It's just not for you. Go ahead and block me, unfriend me, and go do something else with your life. But don't come over here talking about, oh, Moors need to hug. Moors need to get along. No, we don't. No, we don't. Because in reality, the Moors that need to get along are getting along. Now, the Moors have a conversation where there seems to be some disconnect as it relates to information. That conversation got to be had, and ain't nobody gonna stop that conversation, whether it's with me now or it's with some Moors later on. That conversation has to be had, because the Moorish Science Temple of America, as an organization, brick and mortar on the ground, realistically has not made a dent on the problems of our society. And the problem is not the organization per se. The problem is not the doctrine or the ideal. It's the people who express the doctrine. That's the problem. So it will be addressed. That's just what it is. They will be addressed. And listen, I'm not going to disrespect nobody. I'm not going to call nobody out their name. I'm not going to be downright gutter dirty like we have witnessed a lot of other people do. No, I'm going to call the truth for what it is. Now, before we get started, let me get on this real quick. In our Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, the chapter, chapter,
I know it's hard.
what chapter is this? Chapter 16. I think it's chapter 16, is it? I think it is. Let me make sure.
Speed it up some. Speed it up some.
Yeah, I think it's no, it's 14. It's 14. It's 14. Chapter 14. And I'm gonna read this to you real quick, and then I'm gonna honest act like that he was a supreme grand sheikh. He was never a supreme grand sheikh.
Go back.
Never, ever,
Right
ever.
there.
And then himself to 1929, when clearly we know that Emeliel was the grand sheikh in 1929. And in fact, that's a story for another time, which I've told many times before. He just wasn't the grand sheikh. But anyway, when they begin to pass on their leadership, Brother Kirkman Bey, F. Nelson Bey, J. Blakely Bey, Brother R. Lovell, and today Brother R. Jones Bey. Everybody thought that they had to trace a lineage back to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali because Kirkman Bey traced himself back to Prophet Noble Drew Ali, but he really didn't. It's really just an illusion. He never traced himself back to Prophet Noble Drew Ali as an official officer of the temple, but he put himself in 1929 as if he was an official officer of the temple. He's never been official officer of the temple. I don't care how many keys they say was passed to him. I don't care how many events he went to with the Prophet. He was never, from what we know, from what research tells, he was never made an Adab Sheikh officer trustee of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So him and his henchmen hijacked, and they was trying to hijack from 1929, even before then with Claude Green. But from 1929,
I have to stop it here because the man don't know what the hell he's talking about. Let me prove it to you. The prophet said the only people in this business is an Adab. So if the prophet took Kirkman Bey with him, Kirkman Bey had to be a what? Because he got him in his business. Not only did he get him in his business, he took him to another to interpretate for him because he couldn't speak the language. He was an Adab. He wasn't a sheikh. He wasn't a minister. He got his minister papers and stuff from Meat-Leal. That other crap he got was from a secret meeting behind Meat-Leal's back in 1929. But during the lifetime of the prophet, why would the prophet say, ain't nobody forbid his business unless they had them? Did he take a non-Adab with him across the country? His chauffeurs was Adabs. Because they may hear something. See, this is why we call him Tahaka Trump Jr. Because he got all the fake news he want, all the stuff he's going to add. All right, go back. Start it back up.
Forward, they've tried to hijack the movement. When Meat-Leal passed away, there you have it. Here you go. They come out to the forefront and poke their chests out as if they're the Moorish Science Temple of America. So in the same regard, I want you to pay close attention to this. Braswell Bey would do the same thing, but what Braswell Bey would do, see, Braswell Bey felt like he had to connect himself or tie his Campbell to somebody because Braswell Bey come out of 957th Street and R. Love L consequently had 957th Street shut down, and he was shutting down a lot of temples during the time. If you don't know R. Love L, I think they need to make a story about R. Love L because R. Love L was a real.
R. Love L never shut down 957 75th Street. How do you think that?
Where is he getting his information from?
He getting it out of his booty.
And no one's challenging him with this.
No, the reason ain't nobody challenging because he ain't got nobody on his show.
Oh, that's right. He cuts everybody off.
He ain't got nobody. I'm the only one that went on his show and he kissed my ass.
Yeah.
You can go on the show and see it.
He probably deleted that episode. I think we got it.
He kissed my butt. Yeah, we got to have a pen and paper. We got to keep up with you. Nigga. What that guy say today? They niggerizing everything? Niggerization. Yeah, that's all he is. Listen. He lying. I was there. I know where Braswell Bey and them come from. One of my teachers tried to teach Braswell Bey and them, St. Sinead at 957 East 75th Street. The chief's son went through the Adab chamber at 957 East 76th Street. I was there.
He wasn't.
That nigga wasn't there.
He don't know these people.
No. And the fact that what happened was, I got the letter upstairs, and this is how it went. They took him to court. If you know anything about the state of Illinois, you can't say which religion is which. There's no judge in the state of Illinois that say this is a real Moorish Scientific America, that's a false Moorish Scientific. According to her revised statute, they can't do that. Now, I know for a fact that when Braswell Bay finally got the head of 957 East 75th Street, that when Shanae Hill was over there, had 11 temples. When Braswell Bay and them took over, they went down to no temples. And the reason that 957 got destroyed was and Louis Bay them gave them some money to get the roof done. They didn't get the roof done. And the city of Chicago had to tear the building down. Meanwhile, after the court case, this is the thing. Shanae Hill refused to go to court. They say because the European ain't supposed to be in their business. So the court got a judicial default against Shanae Hill and them. Because they said we ain't going to the European court to prove nothing that we're Moors ain't Moors. But anyway, I read the transcript, which was typed up, and then I found something strange in the transcript of Wild Loville because it had somebody written in, this means you have the exclusive right to use the name Moorish Scientific America, which I know is a lie. First of all, you get transcripts, the only writing on it is the judge's signature and the signature of the person that typed it. There ain't no extra writing in there. That should have been typed in there. I knew then it was a lie. Plus the fact I called myself the Moorish Scientific America in 1920. Ain't nobody took me to court. They tried, but anyway, let me finish. So now, I know for a fact, Shanae sent P. Davis Hill and Braswell Bay down to meet with Bailey Hill, and they turned around and joined the temple. That's how that happened. Bailey Hill was carrying himself as the supreme chairman. How do I know? Because I talked with his mama, his grandmama. In 1979, early part, either end of 78, 79, it was winter time. I met Bailey Hill. Bailey Hill took me to meet his grandmama, whose name was Demetri Hill, and I interviewed her for 2.5 hours. Can Tahaka say that? Who he interviewed for 2.5 hours?
Himself.
So for 2.5 hours, I listened to that sister talk and tell me stuff, and I challenged the stuff she told me, because I just don't sit there and listen to no stuff. Anyway, in 2019, Bailey Hill, before he died, acknowledged that I talked with his grandmama and stuff, and he said this, what he never said before, she had mental issues. So if she had mental issues when I met her, was she lying and telling the truth? Because then when I met her, I said, Bailey Hill, since you're the Supreme Grand Sheik, she said, no, Brother Hill, Bailey Hill is not the Supreme Grand Sheik. I said, then what is he, sister? He's the Supreme Chairman. I said, then who the Supreme Grand Sheik? She said, my husband. I said, me live. She said, I thought he died in 1934. He did, but the prophet said that he's the head of the Moorish Scientific America. As long as there's a Moorish Scientific America, it's his Moorish Scientific America, and he made my husband next to him. So Bailey Hill and Braswell Bay in the line ain't been but two Supreme Grand Sheiks. That's the first one, which was me, Leon, and the second one, which was William Morrison Hill. William Morrison Hill got put out of office in 1936 because he started listening to Kirkman Bay and them, and he agreed. You don't have to believe me. You can go up there and look on their website, Braswell Bay website. Look from 1929 to 1936 letters, and you see in there where she says he wanted to go there and have a meeting with Bailey. He wanted to go have a meeting with Kirkman Bay, and then we told him he couldn't. The body can't tell the head what to do. Point blank, period. All you gotta do, they tell on themselves. But anyway, go ahead. Next part of this.
It's hard to
I know it's hard to listen to him. We're gonna have a really good show tonight. A really good show, really good show.
Was a real fighter in the cause in which he believed in. Was his cause typically close to the cause of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali? Not in my book, but I tell you what, he put up that fight. You know what I'm saying? He was going out shutting temples down because he said he got the sole authority. And guess what? most people was shook of All Love L. You can't take nothing from them. They were shook of them. Everybody was shook of them, and they was creating all these names to try to avoid. And this is why Ras Adiel is called MST of A 1928, because he felt, and he probably still feel, that Moorish Science Temple of America Inc. have the sole authority of the name Moorish Science Temple of America. And this is why.
When did I talk to him and tell him that? When he had to get, he couldn't have got it from that knucklehead female he got that's letting him make all the babies and he ain't married her. I know he could be listening to her because listen, he ain't never talked to me. Yeah. I got it out my mouth. Well, that's why, right? How do you know that? You ain't my brain. You ain't even my penis. That's why I call him Trump Jr. This is why, right? No, that ain't why I said 1928. I said 1928, Negro, because in 1928 you had the first convention. 1928, the prophet set the movement in order. Nah. Ain't nobody took me to court.
But you made that declaration multiple times on our
I know, but see, he don't listen. See, he's a nigger. He's a niggerine. Let me tell you. Just that statement right there. Where he get it from? Out of head. He like Trump. We're gonna take drain line.
Iceland. He couldn't get it in.
Yes. We're gonna have get rid of the fake news. Just listen to me. I'm gonna violate all your constitutional rights, and because I'm the government. See, and the people that believe this stuff has to be done. Because first thing I'd ask and tell you, when did you and Brother Rayo talk about why he made it the Moorish Science Temple of America 1920? What was his reason? Oh, that's right. All of you didn't take me into court. All of you told them to leave me alone. He didn't tell him that. Me and all of you was buddies. We used to talk. I got pictures of me and all of you in the late the early 2000s. That's why Jones Bay had to remove from office, because Jones Bay was supposed to be at the meeting we had in 2002. We went up there in 2002, and this is exact words that everybody there can say that the man said to us. Brother Oliver say, Brother Rayo, we have to court each other. I said, yes, sir. Because he thought I was the leader. I said, I'm not the leader. Waleed Bey is the Supreme Grand Chief. I'm just the minister, the Supreme Minister, sir. He said, oh, I didn't know that. So he talked to Waleed, and he said, listen, we have to court each other. In other words, we got to get to know each other. And then what I found out during a convention, Jones Bay, who said he's going to be there at that meeting, wasn't there. But he told everybody that Love Hill shouldn't have been at that meeting. The cold part of it is 2 years later, he was sitting in the same office with me, lying out of both pantyhose legs. Well, go ahead on. Let me see what else he got to say. He said it ain't come. Wait a minute, they ain't eating no more than 1913 now, ain't they? When did he make this? We took them to court in 2012. We went in the Moorish Science Temple of America 1928. He went in there to Moorish Science Temple of America Inc. And then he come out and say they're 1913. Oh, what's this nigga talking about? Fake news. Fake news. Do you know how to change it over and stuff, Mom?
It's just real easy. Add this to the state when you ready here.
See, this is what gets me.
To play it.
Now, when I first met Taka, he was with a fake prophet.
And let's go back here.
Brother Sample Bay.
And then when Chief want to talk, just remove it. Yeah. That's it.
So when I met him, he was over there with Sample Bay. I call him Simple Bay. If you look at me, interviewed Simple Bay. Simple Bay said, I made you. Simple Bay turned around and said, I made you, Tahaka. Then Tahaka left him and ran over to a homosexual practicer. But go ahead. Put it on. Let me hear some more. I knew you'd have to go.
I tell people all the time, we are the Moorish Science Temple of America, affectionately known. Don't confuse us and call us Noble Temples as an official name. No, we are the Moorish Science Temple of America, not / Noble Temples, not _ Noble Temples, none of that. The Moorish Science Temple of America. But if you don't follow me, then rewind and think about what I'm saying. So Braswell Bay would in turn kind of call himself Grand Major Temple. But before he get to the Grand Major part, he would join with Belial, who my credentials come from. He would join with Belial, but he would join with Belial with P. Davis.
Wait. He just said his credentials come from the man that was kicked out the Moorish Science Temple of America. How is that? You can go on government and see the case where Braswell Bay took them to court. Now I'm gonna show you how deep this is. This is 2005. I was living in the basement. I get this call. Come in, Belial was talking off and on. And he said, Belial say, Brother Rael, what are you going to do? I said, do about what? The court case. I said, what court case? He said, the court case with Braswell Bay taking us all to court. I said, taking us all to court? I said, I didn't get no paperwork from Braswell Bay telling me we go. He said, I'm going to send you the paperwork. He overnighted it. So the next day I picked it up and I told everybody on my show, you can go on the Blog Talk radio show, look at my old, and I say right there on the show, I didn't win this case before I left. Father, get out this seat. Finish talking to y'all, I won this case. So I went to Chicago. I got up to Chicago. The thing that got me was in 2004, Billy had called me crying. I called her crying because, you know, Braswell Bay put me out the temple, got me sitting, that's what it's being on 43rd Street. Got me sitting down here in the thing. I said, what you mean? He put me out the temple. I'm waiting for Lane Hill and them to come. When Lane Hill and them get it, we going back in the building. But Braswell Bay fooled them all. He called the police on them. Braswell Bay had the police escorted all of them off the property. 2004. So I get credentials from a man that got kicked out the temple. So anyway, I found out Braswell Bay trying to take me to court too. So come to find out, none of them could beat Braswell Bay. Belial with all this paperwork, Kenyu, Lane Hill in them, A. Moyle in them, none of them could do anything with Braswell Bay. They needed the Rusky. So I come like the Russians bombing by the, missing by the block, but killing by the mile. So I'm dropping bombs by the block and killing by the mile. So I go to court. I go down to court. I tell this guy. He said, what? I said, yeah, I didn't get no subpoena or nothing. He said, you know, that's wrong. I said, well, I got to ask you a question to ask the judge. He said, what's that? Can I videotape the trial? He said, what? He said, why you want to do that? So I have a record that's last forever. Can nobody dance around it? Well, he said, you know, the judge said no. And so we went on to court. You know. Now, the thing that got me, there was so many people talking about Rael that lost the case. And I'm like, Braswell Bay scared of me. That's why he's trying to get what all of you got against him, a default judgment. If he don't tell me he sent me to court and don't nobody else tell me, then I get a default judgment. But I didn't get there because I went to court. The judge threw the case out. The judge told you could go to the real record or you can send me $50 and I'll send you the case. $50 money order, and I'll send you the case. I got the case where they lost because none of them filed against it. I'm the only one. If you know anything about law, I'm the only one responding in law to the case. And guess what? The judge told Braswell Bay there's no concernment in the law that you who you say you are, and that would violate the constitutional standard of separation of church and state. So I won the case for us. That was in 2005. Now, how in the hell could Belial have any authority when he kicked out the Moore? He kicked out his own temple. When I met Belial, he was in Grand Temple number 1. And the woman over Grand Temple number 1 was Sister D. Me Leo. So how he get kicked out of his own temple? Now you're talking about he got his paperwork from the man that got kicked out the temple. Now I seen this same Negro, Tahaka Trump Jr., in a video. That's what with Belial, a video where Belial say this here. In his 2015 convention, the year 2015 convention, Belial says this. In 1995, the Supreme Council overthrew the prophet and the grand body. Now, show you how dumb he is, he should have figured it out. Why didn't Belial say the grand body tried to overthrow the prophet and the grand body, but he's still there? What part of it he was in? See, I know I was there. I tell you what Belial told me when I told him they had that power and authority. Belial said, we the Supreme Grand Council. We can change anything the prophet said. I said, show me that. Well, show me what the law said. You can overthrow the prophets, what he said. Oh, yeah. I said, okay. I was there. But if he said this in 2015, that he was one of the ones trying to overthrow the temple, he just to tell y'all that. How he stayed there to 2005? He claimed that he was part of the Supreme Grand Body of the Moorish Scientific America that tried to overthrow the prophet in 1995. Y'all explain that to me. Where the paperwork for that at? I was there. That's the year they offered me the title Supreme Grand Minister. They said, Brother Rael, come on with us, Brother Rael. We're going to make you the Supreme Minister of the Supreme Grand Council. And on my song, I say this, no, Joe, that won't go. I made that in the song, The Controversial Years. No, Joe, that won't go. And Belial turned around and said to y'all damn fools that the Supreme Council, who he was sitting on, he was an alternative member, because I wouldn't have no faggot over me. In 1996, I came back, so I gave y'all 1 year to get it right. And that 1 year, they didn't get it right. But I think I may have one of the letters down here. Move out the way, man. Come here. Get over here. Get over here, man. Get right there. Lay right there. I think I might have that paperwork right here. Ask Tahaka, Mr. Tahaka Trump Jr., where his paperwork is. Mine signed and sealed, ETC. I'm trying to see where's that document at. The letter might be upstairs. But it's where P. Davis Hill admit that they had a meeting, whereas they determined that the Supreme Grand Council was the grand body of the Moorish Scientific America. That's what he sent to me, trying to explain to me. He don't know why I went off on them. That following year, 1996, I came to the convention. There was no more sheiks, no more grand governors. Everybody there was they made me the Grand Sheik of Oakland. They made Stringer Hill the Grand Sheik of Georgia. They got rid of the grand body. Most of y'all ain't know what the grand body is, so I'm just talking to y'all. And so, shucks. I even got the letter where Braswell Bay say, we received your package that you voluntarily returned your paperwork in. Yeah, I told him I didn't want to be with y'all no more. Y'all overthrew the prophet. But the Supreme Grand Sheik sent me a letter saying he still recognized me as an executive ruler. Check that out, as an executive ruler and as a head. And he said, hopefully you and Braswell Bay can work things out. I told Braswell Bay I would let my eyes follow him from his seat to the roster. And I meant that then, I mean it now. Could I sit across from his line? But yes, I could. But I know everything he says is a lie. See, that's the difference. I know what he's saying is a lie. That man, what Jesus said, his father is the devil. When he lie, he don't think he lying because he's telling the truth to himself. Trying to see if this is a book they got that in. But go ahead, cut him back home.
And bring Rasadiel along. This is the problem with that. One of the things that they did that I disagreed with, and I expressed it many a times, is that they created a fake lineage. The lineage that they created was a fake lineage. In other words, to compete with the Moorish Science Temple of America Incorporated, they created a fake lineage. And I'm going to show you what I mean about this fake lineage, family. You're going to learn tonight, family. You're going to learn tonight. Let me show you what I mean about this fake lineage. All right. So, in this lineage, you got Emiliel 1928, 1934. But then they got Morris Ill 1934 to 1935. That's a flat out lie. He was not a Supreme Grand Sheik. He was never made a Supreme Grand Sheik. Ever. So what they trying to do is they trying to act like that he was a Supreme Grand Sheik. He was never a Supreme Grand Sheik. Never, ever, ever. And then
he said Morris Hill wasn't a Supreme Grand Sheik. Stop lying out your pantyhose. The prophet put Morris Hill in. His lineage was the prophet. Negro. Go back, read the record. When the prophet removed Small Bay from being after. Now check it. When you read the back of your questionnaire, it says the prophet. It says Emiliel, it says Small Bay, Lovett Bay, and Foreman Bay. The prophet replaced Small Bay with Morris Bay. Morris and Hill. So the people that the prophet said in line, the lineup for Grand Sheiks was Emiliel, Morris and Hill, because he replaced Small Bay, Morris and Hill, Lovett Bay, and Foreman Bey. Ain't but 5 names on it. The prophet name is first. Morrison Hill come in office in 1936. Mealy died in 1934 in Mississippi, where his wife abandoned him at. See, Brett Bellier had a whole lot of time to change the story, the narrative. That's why all the years I said that his grandmother lied to me, and I even got the Quran she gave me in storage that says the Moorish Holy Temple of Science of the world. The Moorish Holy Temple of Science, that is. I got original documents. He followed Bellier. Bellier, listen. I was up there in 2005. And at that time in 2005, I was staying with Bellier while filing my paperwork. Bellier started making ad deaths one night. I wasn't going to get involved with it. Ken Yu, Tyrone Harrison there was at that meeting. And I couldn't take it no more. I listened to the crazy stuff Bellier would say. I come out the room. I said, Bellier, what are you doing? That ain't how you make no ad. I forgot some things. He was making shit up as he went along. Put a crystal in your forehead, walk around the room 3 times and bow down. Shit like that. He got all types. And he couldn't, when I challenged him, what he said was, those people there, I tell you, what he said was, oh, I forgot. If you've been doing this for decades, how the hell you forget? I've been making ad-debs the way I was made ad-debs since I was made ad-deb, since 1979. What happened? Oh, y'all listen to Jahaka. Trump Jr. Fake news. Go ahead. Put it on some more.
They say Brother E. Walton Bey, 1935 for 36 was a Supreme Grand Sheik. Once again, they're lying again. He was never a Supreme Grand Sheik. Never, ever, ever. So the whole point of the matter is, hold up, this is supposed to be a holy and divine movement. If you inject a lie into the holy and divine, then you take the holy out of the divine. You follow what I'm saying? You take the holy out of the divine. You feel me? So at the end of the day, if you take the holy out of the divine, there has to be an alternative. Kirkman Bey wasn't there in 1929 appointed by the prophet or legitimately put in place by any system set aside by the prophet. A fake lineage is not how a divine movement is constructed. So there has to be an alternative. The only thing that survived the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was the Sheikhood. And I'm going to leave that right there. This is not on YouTube yet. It'll be on YouTube soon as I finish. The only thing that survived the Prophet was the Sheikhood. The Prophet gave us the blueprint, and we are supposed to put it together from the model that the Prophet left us. That's it. That's all. From 1929 to 1928, we are supposed to put it together. That's it. That's all. You follow me? But these people, they wanted to be leaders. They wanted to be the type of people to be in charge, and they wanted to take this issue and deal with it as they wanted to deal with it and leave us behind. So you got these people making up these lineages. Let me get into it. So Harlan Bey was actually a chairman and he was a sheik. Louis Bey was actually a chairman and he was a sheik. Right. Belial was a chairman and he was a sheik. None of these brothers, with all due respect, was ever installed as Supreme Grand Sheiks.
So in
the order that the Supreme.
If Belial was made a Supreme Grand Sheik, he said he got his authority from who? He started off saying he got his authority. See, the niggas just lied, didn't tell us. He said he was never made a Supreme Grand Sheik, which is truthful. because his grandmama told me he was the Supreme Grand Chair. I know Sister D. O'Neill Bay and Sister Lewis Bay. That was part of the Supreme Council, whose parents was the ones he talking about, which he ain't never talked to. Because all of them stayed with Braswell Bay. None of them went over there with Belly Hill. Matter of fact, the youngest sister ever made an adept by the prophet, Sister Grace Hill. I met her back in 95. I was in Chicago doing a convention, and I came back to the temple for services, and he's all sitting on the porch talking around the sisters, this older sister, elder sister. And I got to talking, listening to him and stuff, so we went upstairs. And so she said, Islam, brothers, Islam, y'all have a good one. So I got upstairs, I said, no, who's that sister down there? And Braswell Bay said, you don't know who that is, brother? I said, no, I don't know everybody. He said, that's Sister Grace Hill, the youngest sister the prophet took through the chamber. I said, how come she didn't come upstairs then to the meeting, to the convention? Because she ain't out there. Won't you go ask her? So I like a damn fool went downstairs and asked her. So I went down there, I talked with the sister. She said, I don't follow no faggot. I said, what? So I don't follow no homosexual, bro. I said, who you talking about, sister? She said, who I'm renting my apartment to. Now, the only one that lived up there was Billy. Everybody else was visiting. So when she say, who did I rent my apartment to? I said, okay, sister. I thank you. May Allah be pleased with you. And I went upstairs. They said, Ryan, what she said? She said she ain't coming. That's what I said. She said she ain't coming. But she, not only did she tell me that Billy was a faggot, his second was in Stateville. A brother come to my cell by the name of George Bailey Ill III. Because back them days, you know, they kept the moles with the moles, the stones with the stones, the eels with the eels, vice lords with vice lords, etc. They keep the static down in the cell. So they sent him up to my cell, and I looked at him and said, Islam, he stacked them up on me. I said, brother, who are you? He said, I'm George Bailey Hill III, brother. I said, you came to Bailey Hill? He said, yes, come on in the cell for a moment. Mom, let's talk. He said, nobody in his family followed Bailey Hill. The Bailey Hill sisters was faggots. And I met one of them in 2006, when I was up there with Bailey Hill. And when I'll take that back. That was 2005. When they beat Bailey Hill up and took all this stuff, he had a lot of gay stuff for females, and that was his sisters. Because she had dildos and stuff that women's wrap around. And they took all of that. They know I'm telling the truth. Lion and the Lamb, if you go on some of their old website posts, they'll tell you that when them brothers put it up on their site, they said it was too nasty, they took it off. Or they put dildos and stuff up there. They weren't Bailey Hill dildos, his sisters. Yeah, they was eating chitlins and everything. They had chitlin buckets up in the house and everything. So how did he get credentials? Somebody was kicked out the temple. Somebody said was never a Supreme Grand Chief. So how did he get his authority? Go ahead, let's see who we say he got his authority from. Again. We're going to close out at 9:30.
Grand Council has never been broken. Yes, the Supreme Grand Council broke down in 1934 at the passing of Emil. That doesn't mean we can't reinstitute it and reinstall it. You know what I mean? Properly by proper appointed sheiks and everything. So the sheikhood didn't go nowhere. The sheikhood didn't go nowhere. And so when Braswell Bay would meet Bailey L, he would bring P. Davis L with him, and he would bring Ra Sadi L with him. And in my book, they would manipulate him to create this line in order to try to reclaim the Secretary of State of the movement from the ink. I hope you with me. Press 7 if you with me. So they created this because the ink had a lineage. Hey, so we need one too. When in fact, Belial was a sheik. All Belial had to do was say, we putting together the sheik board.
Who made Belial?
Because he was in his house with his family and a few
other. Stop it right there. Stop it right there. Belial's grandmama, when she got rid of Mealy Hill, this is the record. Same thing she did with brother. You go, like I say, go on Brownsville Abandoned website and look at that big red picture that says 1929 through 1936, and it tells you that she was getting all the mail. I got letters down here that they were sending to Mealy Hill in 80. And Mealy Hill been dead since 34. And the sister said something like, Brother Mealy, I need some more Qurans like you sent me before. He been dead since 34 November. Who made him a sheik? Because Belial, I think, was born in 1939 and 1938. Who made Belial a sheik? His grandmama? What power and authority she had? What was her position? I got some letters upstairs where Belial tried to say that what happened was they made his grandmama the supreme custodian of the Moorish Scientific of America. This is why he had all the paperwork and charters and stuff, because they made her the custodian. She did the same thing. I got a letter. I'm saying how cold-blooded it was. Belial gave me this letter. This letter was explaining. Now check it. The letter was from brother Morrison Hill, William Morrison Hill. And William Morrison Hill says in the letter, I'm having issues with Sister Mealy Hill because she's doing the same thing that Sister Mary did to the mother. And what Sister Mary did was, when Mealy Hill come over to get Qurans and stuff, she refused to give it to him. She the one that gave Kirkman Bey minister papers and stuff to give the other more. That's how George Kirkman Bey got his minister paper. Prophet name is not on the ministry paper. I know because I saw him. Up on George Bey's ministry paper, name Kirkman Bey. So anyway, we're not gonna stay but 3 more minutes because we got 9:30. I'm gonna leave. But I want y'all, we're gonna chop this up again next week. I want y'all to think about this. Listen to the Negro. He said he got his credentials from Belial, but Belial was never the Supreme Grand Sheik. Belial wasn't even a sheik because his mama couldn't make him no sheik. Who in the household could make him a sheik? Only person in the household could have made him a sheik was Mealy Hill. Mealy Hill died in 34. He was born in 39. 5 years later, I remember one time he told me his daddy smacked the piss out of him. I said, what? He said, for real, Brother Raheel. We was in his kitchen. I was acting up, and he smacked me so hard, I'll hit the icebox and myself. And I asked him, what did you do that your daddy hit you like that? Come to find out, he's acting gay. His father couldn't stand him because he was a boy, want to wear girl clothes and stuff. When I asked Belial, 1996, the 21st of September, I asked Belial, I was leaving the house. No, it was 20th. It was 20th that night. And I asked Belial, I said, Belial, are you a practicing homosexual? You know what he told me? I'm tired of P. Davis Hill and Braswell Bay telling people I'm a homosexual. But he didn't answer my question. Now, the sister that busted him, Sister Abdullah Bay, they sent her in the house and stuff because they got the keys made because he'd always say he wasn't at home, but he had little boys in the house. So she went out, she said, I got the letter upstairs in one of those drawers, and she said, I seen the boy running around the house with his drawers and stuff, running down the steps. And Belly Hill was trying to pull his up and stuff. Belly Hill got busted with his drawers down. But he gave you what? Gave you your credentials. Where he get the power and authority from to give out credentials? When he was stripped, when I was in the temple, he couldn't even make an ad there. When I joined him in 92, that November, I said, I'm not coming in here unless you remove him from office. And this position they gave him, alternate. If a brother came out of town and he didn't make the meeting, that he could take his spot and read the man's record. He was an alternate. He wasn't an officer. Because I refused to have a homosexual as an officer. I couldn't put him out the temple, but I could give we wasn't nothing in the temple. Look at his record. He'll tell you he didn't become nothing to end of 96, 97. When P. Davis Hill died in 97, when he got his rank and stuff, something like that. And the rank was fake. He wasn't no sheet. And he couldn't make no sheets. He didn't have a chart. I gave him a copy of my chart, and then he made charts. When I was up there in 2006, I gave him a copy of one of my charters. And then he went and had some charters made. How could a homosexual give you any power and authority? Ink. He didn't talk himself. Let me show you how Donald Trump he is. He didn't talk himself into being the more scientific America. Who made him that? He was part of Belly Hill. Now, according to the law, it says this, that when you lead a prophet who's confident in the prophet, turn in your fez, your button seats, wearing this and that, right? What happened to that? He left Belly Hill. He left Belly Hill in 2017. How do I know? Because he talked me on the show 2018. I found out after I was on this show that he was no longer a member over there since the convention of 2017. Who gave him his authority? When I talked to Belly Hill, Belly said, you got to worry about him. He ain't nothing. He made Dandridge his supreme grand chief. He's not a line of sheephood. Who made him a sheep? Belly Hill, they got kicked out the temple. So what you telling me, somebody can get kicked out the temple, make themselves something, and that makes you something. Islam, Islam, Islam. Bismillah, Bismillah, Bismillah. Almighty. And I ain't even get to this.
The controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy. We're talking about the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy, the controversy. What is this? Today we're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The chief minister ain't this. The chief minister that. I didn't form nothing. Nothing. All I did was continue what was trying to be discontinued. 1995 that he stood up and say the prophet grand body is no more. And I said, no, Joe, that won't go. No, Joe, that won't go. That won't go. And I said I will continue on. They said, well, brother, right here, we're gonna make you a supreme member of the Supreme Grand Council. I say, all is well with that idea. Well, guess what? The grand body still is. The grand body still is the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. We're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy.
What is this?
Today we're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The chief minister ain't this. The chief minister that. I didn't form nothing. Nothing. All I did was continue what was trying to be discontinued. 1995, Supreme Grand Council that he stood up and say the prophet grand body is no more. And I said, no, Joe, that won't go. No, Joe, that won't go. That won't go. Yeah. And I said I will continue on. They said, well, brother, right here, we're gonna make you a supreme member of the Supreme Grand Council. I say, all is well with that idea. Well, guess what? The grand body still, but the grand body still is the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. We're talking about the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy. The controversy, the controversy.
What is this round? What is this that surrounds me? Allah's loving arms. What is this upholds me?